Beauty and Brains, an experimental design presented by Faisl and Elizabeth Arrington from the University of Dallas and Irving, Texas. Faisl and Elizabeth are interested in how self-esteem and academic performance change given the presence or absence of grooming. The independent variable is a makeover introduced as a researcher manipulation. It is measured on a presence-absence nominal scale. Self-esteem and academic performance are the two dependent variables. Self-esteem is going to be measured using the Rosenberg scale, which asks participants to rate their agreement with statements regarding self-esteem on a 4-point scale of agreement. The scores for the negatively worded items are reversed, then the ratings are summed for a self-esteem score. Yay! Higher scores indicate higher self-esteem, and this variable is on an interval scale, meaning that the theoretical distance between the agreement ratings is the same throughout, but there is no absolute zero. Scores are all 1 or higher. GPA is self-reported based on the student's most recent knowledge. This variable is on a ratio scale because the difference between each value is the same, and it is possible to have a 0 GPA. God forbid that be the case. The population in whom they're interested in studying is American undergraduate college students. For this study, participants are gathered via flyers around the UD campus and randomly assigned to either a control group, which will not receive a makeover, or a variable group, which will receive the makeover. The pre-test measurements will be taken at the end of a semester. Then, those in the makeover group will receive their makeover grooming twice a month in the style of popular trends for the duration of the following semester. Those in the control group receive none. Scores will be measured again at the end of that second semester. The researchers have designed a pre-post, nearly true but still quasi-experiment to test the null hypothesis that there is no difference in the dependent variable scores taken before and after the manipulation. Their alternative or research hypothesis is that reported self-esteem and academic performance will be greater in the presence of a makeover. This design is a pre-test, post-test design and follows most of the criteria for a true experiment. There is a control group, there's an experiment group based on a researcher manipulation. However, it is not a truly random sample because the participants are not randomly selected from the entire population of U.S. college students. Not every student has an equal opportunity to participate in this study. The statistical differences between these groups will be measured using the repeated measures MANOVA. Differences between these groups, we're using the MANOVA because differences between these groups are measured on more than one dependent variable, self-esteem and academic performance. It is repeated measures because participants are measured more than once. This gives this design a within-subjects component. Participants are being compared to themselves. But this design also has a between-subjects component from the comparison between the control and experiment groups. Our results show that, in the presence of a makeover, students do indeed show higher self-esteem scores and higher academic performance. So keep up that grooming, guys. Our study does have a few limitations, as they always will. Some threats to reliability would be individual differences, which are differences between the subjects, other than the independent variable which we introduced, that could influence differences in the scores. We have some threats to validity as well. This experiment has moderate external validity. Most of the experiment happens outside of the lab in participants' natural habitat, making it externally valid. But we don't have access to the entire population. It's not a truly random sample, so there's only so far that we can generalize these results. Some other threats to validity are maturation, since this takes place over time. Participants might change a little bit, and also historical events that could happen in between testing periods. There could be some testing effects. Participants are tested more than once, so subsequent testing periods could be affected by participants' memory of the first testing period. We also might suffer a little bit of mortality. Not everyone in this study is going to be able to continue throughout the entire thing, so there will be some discrepancies in the number of scores we receive. But overall, we have learned that grooming can make a difference in one's self-esteem and academic performance.